Well, Poland is offering to supply Ukraine with German-made Leopard tanks as part of an international coalition. The announcement follows talks between Polish President Andrzej Duda and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy on Wednesday. The pledge puts pressure on Germany, which has so far refused to deliver the advanced tanks to Ukraine itself.
Ukraine needs heavier weapons. That has been Kyiv's message to its Western allies for months. Top of the list, the German-built Leopard 2 battle tank. So far, Western nations have been reluctant, fearing further escalation with a nuclear-armed Russia. But that might be all about to change.
We have decided that the moment for Poland to decisively support Ukraine has come. A company of Leopard tanks will be handed over as part of a coalition.
The offer from Poland's President Andrzej Duda is a welcome one for Kyiv, but there's a catch. Without Germany's approval, other nations cannot supply Leopard tanks to Ukraine. Poland's call for an international coalition to deliver the weapons piles additional pressure on German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. So far, he's been reluctant to commit. But as Russia claims it's making further gains in eastern Ukraine, Kyiv says Berlin's foot-dragging is costing lives.
Only the transfer of weapons will end this war. Otherwise, the war will go on and on. Ukrainian cities will be destroyed and Ukrainian people killed. But we will definitely keep going to the end. It's just that the cost will be very high.
Poland and other NATO allies are leaning ever harder on the German Chancellor to change his tune.
While the discussion about Leopard battle tanks continues, an agreement has been reached to supply Ukraine with German-made Marder infantry fighting vehicles. These light tanks are deployed outside of Ukraine as part of NATO's Very High Readiness Joint Task Force. German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht has been visiting the NATO unit today. She's facing increasing pressure to agree to the delivery of the larger Leopard tanks to Kyiv. Berlin says it would only consider such a move in cooperation with its NATO allies. So, Germany's defense minister, Christine Lambrecht, paid a visit to German soldiers in eastern Germany today. DW's chief political correspondent, Nina Haase, is there. I asked her if the minister indicated whether Germany would allow Poland to deliver Leopard tanks to Ukraine.
Well, she didn't say yes, but she also didn't say no. This is something that, of course, everybody here asked her several times. But ultimately, Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht said that Poland hasn't officially asked yet whether it can send those tanks to Ukraine. They are, of course, German-made, so the German government would have to give its permission for other countries to supply those tanks to Ukraine. And the Polish president has been welcomed in Ukraine with big cheers when he announced that Poland would do this. Now, he hasn't officially asked the German government yet, said Christine Lambrecht. But of course, there's a big discussion here in Germany, and pressure is being increased from international allies for Germany to give its consent. And also the pressure is mounting within the government coalition, because Christine Lambrecht's fellow minister in the cabinet, in the government coalition, Robert Habeck, said that he doesn't see why Germany should stand in the way of partners when they want to deliver those tanks to Ukraine. He said this doesn't mean that Germany has to send these tanks themselves.
Well, what about Germany delivering heavy weapons directly to Ukraine? It's already provided substantial equipment, but it hasn't quite gotten over to the point of delivering heavy Leopard 2 tanks. Could Berlin end up sending those battle tanks itself?
Now, the German government says that, qualitatively speaking, the decision to send Marder armoured vehicles was already a step up. This was, of course, an announcement that was made early this year after France announced that it would send armoured vehicles to Ukraine, and the decision to send these armoured vehicles is something where the German government, Christine Lambrecht, the defence minister, said deliberated for a long time. But she says that is just the German approach. They monitor the situation very closely, and should it change on the ground, then they are willing to make different decisions. But of course, Terry, you can't answer this question without the question of whether or not Germany will give its consent to other countries sending the Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Once this question has been answered and pressure is mounting, there's a lot of discussion going on within the government coalition, then of course that other question can also be answered. But Germany, the German government, is very clear. It doesn't want to go it alone. It doesn't want to be drawn within a war, not being seen as a war party. So this is something that will not change. But I'm sure there are a lot of high-level political meetings next year, also with next week, also with the French President Emmanuel Macron, Olaf Scholz's counterpart, where this debate is not something that he wants to have for a very long time.
Nina, thank you very much. Our chief political correspondent, Nina Hase. Now, Roderick Kiesewetter is a member of the German parliament with the centre-right Christian Democrats. He's a military expert and sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee. He told us how Leopard battle tanks could impact the course of the war.
Hello. Yeah, well, this would be really a change, not only in the mindset, but also could create a turnaround in the war. Because it is a war not only against Ukraine, it's a Russian war of attrition and atrocities against the Western world, against the free rule-based order. And Ukraine is only the first cornerstone in the Russian strategy. So to deliver these weapons would create a turnaround, and it would give the Ukrainian forces, after a smart training, also the chance to regain its own territory.
Now, many Germans are worried about a possible escalation of this war. Do you share that concern in regards to arms deliveries to Ukraine?
It is not an escalation, because Germany was very reluctant the last 11 months, but this reluctance was not paid for by Putin. He just exploited the German reluctance and gained 20% of the Ukrainian territory. And it was Germany which hampered a coordinated approach of Poland, of Spain and other countries. So it is now a part of stabilizing Ukraine. It is not escalating, because Russia has the escalation dominance, and we need to break this. And a breakthrough would be the delivery of Western-equipped weapons, because the old Soviet models are running out of spare parts and ammunition.
Do you think that Germany is pulling its weight in defending Europe?
No, I don't think so. I see that Germany has wasted the last 11 months to prepare the enough number of spare parts to be ready to start the training of the squads, of the teams inside the Marder or inside the Leopards. So what we should start now is to procure the necessary ammunition, to procure and produce the necessary spare parts also for the howitzers and the ammunition. So we have wasted a lot of months, and we have not answered requests from Ukraine or from Poland regarding heavy weapons like Marder or Leopard tanks. So, and then on the other side, the German leadership, the German government is asking for leadership. Well, there is no leadership if you hamper others. They ask for coordination. There is no coordination if you don't start with it as the owner of these weapons. So we have missed, and we have also a little bit, put the German appearance under pressure. We have destroyed the German role model. We are reluctant, and we have not understood that the new Europe will be more Eastern, more deterrent, more transatlantic. Germany is behind.
We are 10.5 months into this war now. The world is looking at Europe and wondering, how is this going to end? How do you see this war ending?
Well, I don't see many examples where a war has ended with negotiations. Look at the end of the Second World War, where Hitler and Germany were defeated, or look to the war from Kuwait against Kuwait from Iraq. This was also military solved. So we need to bring Ukraine in a position for negotiations. That means Ukraine must regain its territory and sovereignty, and then we could negotiate, they could negotiate with Russia regarding reparations, regarding security guarantees, and regarding the atrocities and war crimes. So the way out is to stabilize Ukraine, to bring them the weapons they need to defend and to regain their own territory.
Roderick Kiesvet, a member of Germany's parliament sitting on the Foreign Relations Committee, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you.